What is up, everyone? And you know how we like to do. We like to open up with a joke, but I don't think we need any jokes this week, Tony. What is up, everyone? Bolt fam, everyone back home. It's been a long week for me, a long road to this Friday night episode with a lot of thoughts stirring in my head. Tony, I'm sure you're feeling the same way.
Yeah, I want everybody right now to raise your hand if you were just horribly depressed Monday through Wednesday of this week. I can see all of you at home with your hands in the air. Athir's boss, if you are still watching this 42 seconds in the show, we thank you very much. Athir is a great member of this show, even though he's never been on it. He is a quality contributor to the production of the show, and we thank you, Athir.
Yeah, and if we didn't have Athir here, we wouldn't have any topics to go over from the chat. But if you guys are in the chat, sound off, say what's up, say your thoughts. This is going to be like a little venting session. We can go ahead and let it all out. Whatever you guys got to say in the chat, we'll respond to. Me and Tony are typically really positive. I think we'll still probably stay positive for the most part through this process. We have our own thoughts. Let's start with the Jaguars game, Tony. Biggest takeaways, obviously the two big injuries, but what are your takeaways like other than the injuries in the Jaguars game? We're going to talk about the injuries though, trust me.
My biggest takeaway from that game is the inconsistency that we have. Like, it's this, we have Brandon Staley, the guy who's from the West, gunslinging, I go for it on every fourth down or whatever. Or there's super conservative Joe Lombardi calling the plays or whatever it is. It's like, can we pick a direction? And if we are going to go super conservative, could it at least be focus on the run game? Sometimes I think that lost in all the messaging. All Chargers fans saw all of the if somebody says you're a good team, that should be insulting. We want to be a tough team. Staley, we want to be a winning team. That's what we want. I don't care if it's tough. I don't care if it's talent. I don't care what it is. We want to win football games. I want to spend thousands of dollars a year, which I love, to go with my family, to games, to cheer, to do whatever. But then I just don't want to watch the crazy inconsistency of what was that I watched? I feel like the game plan was let's just not get Justin Herbert injured, which is a great game plan. But at the same time, then the game plan should have been, let's focus on the run. 4 rushes for Eckler? 5 for Sony Michel? What was it? I don't know what I saw. That's my biggest takeaway, is that I'm confused about what is actually the identity from game to game.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And it's been a thing now. And we know what the identity should be. It should be a guy with long blonde hair, 6'6", beautiful, basically a model. Should be him. But if it's not going to be him, at least pick something. I think we ran into a buzzsaw, Tony. That was my biggest takeaway. While I was at the game and that game was going down, I could feel the slow start coming on. I could tell out there that Herbert wasn't very comfortable. And I feel like the whole week of practice, the team was just so broken up by the injuries, and guys are over here rehabbing and healing, don't know who's going to be available for the game, don't know if we're going to have Keenan Allen, don't know exactly what is even going to be on the field on Sunday, on Friday, which is something that you usually have figured out by Friday. We may have been better off and safer going with Chase Daniel, because then you know that they're forced to center the game plan around playing good defense, which our defense played good. Playing good defense and running the football if Chase Daniels is in the game. I think that the defense played good still. We gave up 38 points. They made an amazing play on that catch at the end of the game. Marvin Jones in the back of the end zone. They broke off the big run with J-Rob. Other than those two sores, the defense did what they could. I think they had 3 goal line stands, 2 of which started on that side of the field. The defense was solid. They just got to figure out what the hell is going on offense and what the solution is. Because maybe the solution is a hard decision.
The solution is a hard decision, which is hey, Lombardi, I know we have a long-standing friendship, but I'm giving the play calling to Shane Day. That is really the decision at this point, where if we continue to see this, because we've now had Lombardi say twice, maybe I've been a little too conservative with what's going on. And yes, this last week, maybe it's acceptable that you were conservative because we were all worried. Everybody was worried about the health of Justin Herbert. every person. Like, I would much rather have, I said on the show, I would have rather had him sit out last week's game if it meant long-term like health and security for this young man. And he's never going to choose to sit out. He dreams about this all year long, and he only gets 17 of these guaranteed every year. Only 17 games guaranteed, which he waits for and trains for all offseason. He's not going to give one up. Anyways, I want to say this about Staley, and then we'll move on and we'll be positive and stuff. You start to rack up points where it's like inflection points in the game where it's huge decisions that need to be made. The timeout in the Raiders game of week 18 of last year, that was one that I will always remain confused on. I don't care if somebody said we need to put that personnel on the field. It was the 29th ranked personnel that he was calling a timeout to put on the field instead of maybe leaving them to call a timeout and panic and decide what was going to happen in the run game, right? So personally, I didn't like the call of that timeout no matter how it shook out in our favor. Then we go to this year, we go to week 2. He admits that he saw Gerald Everett calling and that he could have used and called a timeout in that situation right there. Then there is an issue where they thought they were going to get a different look on 4th and 1, 16-10 game in the third quarter. They could have called a timeout to get the 5 DB package off of the field in that thing when you see that they have 3 tight ends and they're clearly going to run for 1 yard. Like, those are the moments in each one of the games where it's like the head coach just has to say, oh, I see something, this doesn't look right, or whatever it is. But it's these huge moments, and then they end up costing so much of football games. And yes, right now I'm focusing on all of the bad that happens, but that's 3 of the last 4 games where there have been game-changing moments, and they're not going in our favor. Like, it's extremely sad and frustrating and upsets me.
Yeah, and the way they mismanaged the players that were in and out of the game at the end of the game too, to me, was egregious. As a Chargers fan, I still would not want to see those players on the field in that stage of the game. I looked over and looked to the left and right. There were Chargers fans on both sides. By the way, the fan base of the game was really good. I was at the game. It was all Chargers fans filled up that stadium, but left and right, and we are all in agreement, down 31-10 in the fourth quarter, that Justin Herbert does not need to go back on the field. He went on the field 3 more drives after that moment when we all kind of were like, let's see some Chase Daniel, let's see some of the backup receivers, let's see some Josh Kelly on the ground. Like, let's get some positives, but let's get out of here and salvage the team and go on to the next week. So that was another eyesore to me. Overall, the coaching needs to figure it out, or it's going to be a get-out situation. As much as I love Brandon Staley, I love what he says, all that stuff. Yeah. That all needs to be figured out. That all needs to be ironed. We need to go on a playoff run, or these guys are going to be out of here, and they're going to be on Deshaun Payton, or they're going to be on to a different head coach, whoever it might be. And that conversation's for later in the year. But, yeah, that's the Jaguars game, guys. We can flush that one down the toilet. Got destroyed. Like I said, I think we ran into a buzzsaw a little bit. A good team that you don't know is a good team yet. You kind of banged up, underestimating them, and you go in and you find out that they're a good team and a well-coached team the hard way.
Yeah. And again, it's not like squarely on the shoulders of just the coaching, right? Because I think that they've had good game plans and things need to be executed by the players that are out there. So, like, it is a all-around team thing. It is our job, I think, as fans to remain overwhelmingly positive. Doesn't mean that we can't express frustrations and grievances and hope from root for things. I saw somebody put in here in the chat about John Hightower. I've never heard of this person before. I did not see it. I've been trying to stay away from my phone to maintain a certain level of positivity about what's going on. So I'm excited to learn more about Mr. Hightower.
Last couple hours, he's a speed demon, probably a Jalen Guyton replacement.
Yeah, which
he's not going to be active for this game. He's not going to be active for the next game, probably. He would probably, if they're going to actually use him, he'd be active in a couple weeks after he can get on the team and acclimated. Silver and Black Allegiance. I'm confused by this comment because I think he's taking shots at his own team. 0-3 is crazy, but doesn't say much about your one victory. All you can do is beat the worst team. Are you saying that the Raiders are the worst team in the league?
Yes, he is.
Finally, we have some clarity. Finally, we have admitted it, that the Raiders are the worst team in the league. You heard it here first. You heard it here first from the Silver and Black Allegiance. I'm going to put this up all over social media today. Don't you worry. But anyway, let's move on to the next game, Tony. And I said we were going to talk about injuries later. We're going to talk about injuries. Here's the injury report for this Texans game. It is loaded. Not all of these are bad news, though. So let me go over them real quick. First of all, I'll go over the Texans. This is the first time we played a team that is dealing with any injuries this season. We have been very unlucky with injuries. Our opponents every week seem to be very lucky with injuries. They're going to be down their starting tight end and one of their better athletes on offense, Brevin Jordan. He's out. And I think his backup, Farrell Brown, it says out there, but I think he's like questionable to doubtful, like expected to miss. So it's going to be whoever the third or practice squad tight end is for the Texans, which is unique because that frees up what they're going to do with Derwin James. I think you can be a little bit more creative this week. You don't got to lock him on anybody. You can move him around the defense as you like to do every week. And then offensive lineman Austin Deculis, never heard of him before. I think he's a depth offensive lineman. He is labeled out. There's a few more players that are labeled questionable, but all of those players are backups for one, and for two, they were full participants in practice today. So looking like most of those guys are probably going to play. Let's go up to our injuries here. Justin Herbert at the presser today said that he is closer to 100% and feeling better. Practice in full this week. So that's great news. Herbert's healing. It's going as planned. They expected this injury to linger for a couple weeks, and he'll slowly get better and better and better with every day that it heals, pretty much. J.C. Jackson. Brandon Staley said J.C. Jackson was a full participant in team practice all week this week and game prep. He is a full go, fully healthy. He's not even really on the injury report anymore after today, basically. They labeled him full. He's not questionable. He doesn't have an injury designation going into this game. Corey Linsley was given a rest day today on Friday, put the Chargers fans into a panic because him and Keenan Allen are questionable for the game on Sunday. And, of course, not practicing Friday is not a great sign. But Brandon Staley confirmed that Corey Linsley is preparing to start the game on Sunday if there is no more setbacks, and he should be out there for the Chargers. Just a normal rest day, a veteran's rest day for a guy that's been in the league a long time, taking a lot of hits. And then Austin Johnson was dealing with a shoulder injury earlier in the week. It popped up. I was like a little concerned, like, oh no, are we going to have another D lineman hurt? But he didn't miss practice the rest of the week, and it wasn't an issue, so he's a full go. Bad news. Keenan Allen is not going to play in the game on Sunday. He's already been ruled out. They said that he suffered a setback during Thursday practice. Staley did note and highlight that it was not a major setback, just not enough to push Slayer to return this week. He will be returning in one more week, next week, against the Browns. At least that's what the Chargers are eyeing. He made it sound like basically they expected him to be healthier than he was by Thursday, and that's what slowed him down. Not necessarily that he had something happen to him specifically. Donald Parham was practicing in full today, and when I saw that, I thought maybe he's going to play, but Staley clarified that his return will be Week 5 versus the Cleveland Browns. He was saying that he wants to get Parham into playing shape first, which makes sense. Parham has not played in full with pads on since his injury last year. This is a separate injury. This is the hamstring injury that he's dealing with now. Joey Bosa had a successful surgery. To the IR he goes. His estimated timetable is still unclear. Minimum to miss is 4 weeks just by going to the IR. We're talking, 8, even 10 weeks. He had surgery. So brace yourselves, guys. Start eyeing mid-November and kind of be realistic about this for a Joey Bosa return, which will work out for us in a sense. He's going to be there for the stretch of tough games to get into the playoffs if it's close. And then Rashawn Slater, of course, if you haven't heard the news yet, had a bicep rupture, I believe it was. He's going to miss the rest of the 2022-2023 season. Jamari Sawyer was announced as the starter and fill-in at left tackle for the game on Sunday, and assuming as long as it's not awful going forward. Tony, injuries is a topic for the Chargers every week this year. It's kind of crazy. It's like last year we got blessed with like the cleanest bill of health I've ever seen the Chargers get blessed with, and the following year is now maybe the most loaded injury reports I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that is great. Why it's so amazing to have such a high level of starter depth at talent, right? At the positions, multiple pass rushers, multiple, all-pro secondary style players. The last 3, we didn't even get Guyton on there, who ended up on the IR, who absolutely gutted for that needless injury at the end of the game. Bosa and Rashawn, like those two, it's it sucks because, again, these guys work all year round to play and to get in these games, and then they suffer injuries like this. They're taking care of their bodies, like the eating, the sacrifice with family, everything to get there, and then you suffer these kind of injuries. It absolutely sucks for all players at this level. I like the idea of Keenan taking another week. At this stage in his career, that's good. I think Parham, another week, that is the smart thing to do. It was extremely encouraging to know that Corey Linsley is going to try and go, and I hope that is the case because I think he's just such a huge part of what we need to get going this week, which we'll talk more about later in the run game and helping identify things with Herbert. So it was really nice to see him back there. And we're going to talk about Sawyer more in a second, right?
Yeah, we could talk about the keys of victory, players' keys of victory. But yeah, also just for Corey Linsley's impact, Herbert's going to need somewhere to go when he's in trouble in this game or just in future games, especially when we see Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney the following week. It is key that he is not under fire from both edges and up the middle of the field. So hopefully Linsley staying out there, Filer, Linsley, and Zion do give the Chargers strength on the interior or O-line as well versus interior D-lines. So that's great news to see that Corey Linsley is going to be out there. And then, of course, the communication thing across the line is so big, it's so key. And you've seen centers like completely transform an entire offensive line by just adding a center that knows how to communicate and get those blitz schemes, get those stunts and all that talked about as the snap's about to be going down in the pre-snap process. So it's big. And I think that it's also huge that Herbert's getting better and Herbert's getting closer to full strength because you could tell that there was a super ease into period in that game. And why wouldn't there be? He was a true game time decision. He was such a game time decision this last Sunday. And this is why I don't think he should have played still. He was such a game time decision, Tony, that when they announced the starters about 30 minutes before the game on the Megatron, they announced Chase Daniel as the starter.
That's wild. I don't know. So I have so many questions. If I could just have brunch with the coaching staff and just be like, why do we have Easton Stick on the roster if not for moments like this? I don't get it. Yeah. Filer, I think Filer's about to have a big impact on what's going to happen. I really think there's just got to be a commitment to the run game because as soon as they get that, it's going to open up more stuff, hopefully with play action, trying to push the ball downfield, just doing different things, allowing Justin maybe to bootleg to his right a little bit more. But they have to get it going. I want to say this about the Sawyer thing. I'm really glad that this game is coming in a chance where he's going to get to go out there, find out the speed of the NFL game against somebody like Jerry Hughes, who's a good edge rusher. He's not like what he will be seeing the next week in Cleveland. It would be way worse if his first NFL action was against Myles Garrett or Jadeveon Clowney. That's a welcome to the NFL that nobody really wants. But Jerry Hughes is a good NFL test. Jerry Hughes is older, he's a veteran, but he can still rush the passer. He's still got good moves. We're going to get a chance to see him play reps against somebody where it's okay, you get to have your feet wet against somebody that is NFL caliber, 13 years in the league player.
Yeah, and this Texans team is winless. Keep that in mind, guys. And that's to say that we should probably beat them, but also to say they're going to start getting desperate and they're going to start doing weird things. So we could see weird stunts thrown at a known rookie 6th-round pick, and it's going to be a good test for Sawyer. He's going to get in there and hopefully do well. I'm glad that they didn't just field Storm Norton. At least we're making an effort, trying something else on the roster. Even if Sawyer, let's say Sawyer, knock on wood, struggles in this game, and that pushes them, okay, we got to go a different direction. We got to try a different left tackle until we find somebody. At least they didn't go, Storm Norton is the backup on the depth chart. Next man up. Throw him in there and hope for the best.
Mike, that should never be the direction, ever. It should be, at this point, if you pivoted to a rookie who you thought was going to play guard after what you saw when he came in, I'm not even sure how he's still a part of any future plans whatsoever. So, like, I told Mike privately when we were talking before they announced Jamari Sawyer, I said, if Storm Norton was the starting left tackle for the game against the Cleveland Browns, I will come on this show and I will pick the Cleveland Browns to beat the Chargers. No questions asked. Especially with a healthy Myles Garrett in that game. Athir put his keys to victory up here. Let's get that on the screen. So
That's why I've been waiting on that just to put this graphic up with here. Here are your keys to victory against the Houston Texans this week for our Los Angeles Chargers. Let's read the Athir's first before we get into ours. My 3 keys to the game: run, run, run. I need 50-plus carries. I don't know about 50 Athir. I don't know about 50, but I would like to see more than 10. For our RBs, Herbert 3-step drops. I like that. Just that terminology in general Athir. Defense stack the box, makes Houston throw the ball over 40 times. I like this game plan, dude. I like this game plan. I think that it would behoove of Houston to get number 31 going. Because if they don't, that's when we're going to start to really feast on defense.
Yeah. I like this game plan, and this is exactly was my keys to victory or key to victory this game is it has to be to get the running game going. I said that last week going into the game, and that just was not the plan whatsoever. I think that there is a lot that can be taken away from how simple it can be when you look at the Dallas Cowboys and what they're doing with Cooper Rush, right? Let's get out there. Let's activate Richard Rodgers and Trey McKitty, and let's do some 3 tight end sets and play some kind of Pop Warner high school level football plays where it's like we're just going to smash ahead. And then all of a sudden we're going to play action. We're going to hit, Gerald Everett, who would be a mismatch on most people out there, or maybe it's a 2 tight end set where we get Mike Williams out there where he's on single coverage, play action. We can hit him in a more of like a 70-30 jump ball in my estimation. Like we can still pass the ball, but this idea that like we're going to kind of pass the ball on all these like hitches we're going to run all the way down the field, it just isn't working. It's not, in my opinion, the most effective way to play with somebody who has the ability of Justin Herbert. Because if once a quarter you're going to try and press the field and it's successful, and we saw it happen with Jalen Guyton last week, we saw the touchdown to Mike Williams, and you're only going to use it once a quarter, to me, then you're just being neglectful of what you have in front of you. You can't. It's like people who drive Porsches in cities with a bunch of traffic and they never actually get to do anything or open it up or have this beautiful piece of art that they have, and they don't use it, and it frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah, it feels like once you get out that game script, we should be trying to set up those down the field passes as often as possible. When you think about the fact that Justin Herbert has 149 freaking passer rating when throwing 10-plus yards down the field. Do they realize what that means? He's perfect. That's what that means. He's perfect. Throwing down the field.
But
we were talking about the wide receiver situation, and I was telling you, like, now I kind of, after seeing Teddy and Tua not be able to get the ball to Tyreek Hill down the field all night last night, I kind of want to see the Chargers look at receiver and add some guys for more throwing down the field than just having Mike Williams, who's already a down the field threat.
But let's just say this, in a hypothetical world, they do it more, and his passer rating drops to 105. That's still extremely successful, but you've increased the amount of opportunities that we have for the offense to enjoy that success, but they're not even trying it. And it's got to be aggravating to him, and I know he would never go to the podium and say anything less than complimentary things. I think I will be shocked the first time that I get up there and I hear him kind of passive-aggressively airing grievances against what he thinks they should be doing, because I just don't think it's in his DNA to be that type of teammate or leader for the team, which is great and something that I love about him. But there has to be other recognition, like within that building, where it's like, okay, we got to make this happen on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, this is a key to my game too here from DZ. He's saying that we need Chris Rump and company to stand up. Yeah, this is true, because when you think about it, Bosa's an all-pro player. I'm not expecting Chris Rumph to come out and be an all-pro. But the rest of the D-line is still intact. The two guys on the inside, Johnson and SJD and Khalil Mack, are all still on this D-line. The D-line is still a strength. It is still a strength. We just need Chris Rumph not to be a liability in the run game where they just run Dameon Pierce to his side the entire game. That's really the biggest concern I'd have with Chris Rumph, because I know he's going to get after the passer. He's been good. I'd say he's almost also an upgrade from Uchenna Nwosu last year as far as getting after the passer. It's just the run defense is where we're a little concerned about Chris Rumph. If it can be better than what we've seen from him because of the size he's put on, then I have no concerns with Chris Rumph. I still think the D-line will be a strength, especially when you consider JC getting back out there. Good luck, Brendan Cooks. I'll say that. Which means Nico Collins is probably going to get Mike Davis, and ASJ is going to get to move around, and the secondary is going to be intact, and it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, I think Rumph still has to get there and finish, because he gets in there. He did it in the preseason in the second game where he had a chance to sack whoever they were playing in that the Cowboys backup there. Might have been Cooper Rush. I don't remember. But he had a play last week against Trevor Lawrence where he got in the backfield. He's just got to get there, and he's got to finish those plays off. What I'm about to say, please don't leave the show or get mad or whatever. I think it's got to be a little bit on Jerry Tillery. Like, I think we just have to expect more with Bosa out. Like, we have to hope for more from Jerry Tillery at this point in a pass rushing element. Like, he just has to step up and live up to somewhat of a first round pick. Like, this is the moment. This is the moment when Jerry Tillery goes out and gets his next big contract, even if it isn't with the Chargers next year. Like, that's the moment.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Imagine if we just had Melvin Ingram for depth right now. Your AFC Defensive Player of the Month for the first month of football. He said it. Come on, man. That's it. I'm leaving. Athir's comment here. He's talking about 3-step drops versus other step drops. Athir, the 3-step drop thing is because he has short routes called. His target is a short route. 3-step, like if he has a longer step drop, Athir, it's actually going to give Herbert more time to throw the ball, not less time to throw the ball. I don't know why you're calling or what the logic is here, Athir. He's saying that he wants to see more 3-step drops. I actually don't like 3-step drops, to be honest with you, unless you're already in the shotgun. But he wanted a response. So, do you have any idea what he's talking about here?
I don't. I think that 3-step, I guess, would be fine if it was like a big lead and we were just trying to, on third down, convert some 3rd and 5 type situations or whatever. I would like to see less of that. I really want to see kind of what they're running with Cooper Rush, where it's just that we're going to protect this person with easy throws and we're going to focus on building up the run game where we're running, and we think we're going to run again, play action, so get some bootlegs, some rollouts, go into the shotgun and just have everybody pull to the right, roll this way, run some deep drags, some overs, maybe a double move. He has the arm strength to literally be rolling to his right and throw it 50 yards back the other side of the field. Like, allow Mike to run like kind of a fake post corner or something like that and go back and just heave it up to Mike. And we see none of this. We see literally none of this.
Yeah, you literally have freaking 53.5 yards of a football field that this guy can attack. You think as an offensive coordinator, you'd be drooling. You can get so creative with that. There's guys in the league that don't have that big a field. Like, if they roll to the right, they have this 25 yards right here in front of them, all the way down the field as far as they can throw. That's it. Herbert has the whole thing at all times during every single play. Yeah, if you are going to abandon the run completely, then let's abandon the run completely, and let's start letting this guy unload on people and unload on secondaries.
Agreed.
Oh, man. D-line's got to step up so Mac doesn't get double-teamed. Yes, unfortunately, Carlos, it's a kind of a fact of the matter at this point. Khalil Mack is getting double-teamed. He's getting double-teamed. He just has to continue to impact in the run defense and continue to put pressure on quarterbacks despite it. And he can. He's a player that can. Bosa's been doing it for years. Keenan Allen's not playing again. Yes, he is not. He's not playing again. We talked about that earlier in the show, Nick, if you want to rewind. Heavy dose of Pierce. Yeah, this is why the D-line is so important in this game, right, Tony? Dameon Pierce is coming on. He's coming on strong, and he's starting to get comfortable. You can see it with the way he's running and the confidence that he's running with. And being down Bosa on that side of the D-line, I am 99.9% certain that is going to be the Texans' game plan, to attack that exact spot where Chris Rumph is standing with Dameon Pierce. So the key to winning the game on defense is going to be forcing them out of that and forcing them to throw the ball into a secondary with Asante Samuel Jr., J.C. Jackson, and Derwin James all healthy and ready to go.
Yeah, Lovie Smith still wants to play football like it's 1984. He wants to run the ball, keep it, and play defense. He's going to take every field goal. I don't expect him like many fourth downs or whatever. Come on, guys. Tillery. It's Tillery season. I don't even believe it when I'm saying it, but I do hope for it. Yeah, I do. I think that is the case. And we need to get some turnovers. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but it just has to. The ball has to bounce in our favor for once. 2 straight games without a turnover with this many talented players on defense. Like, somebody's got to just go and rip the ball away. We have to have it.
So if you're saying, will Herbert accept 3-step drops ball out? Herbert has ran every drop that's in football up there in his career, even his rookie year. So I don't think he's gonna have an issue with a 3-step drop if that's what the play calls for, or if the O-line ain't holding on. But I think that the O-line should be able to hold on for his drop. If they're not holding on for at least his drop, it don't matter what drop you're in.
Oh yeah, then that would be less than 2 seconds you'd have to get the ball out in a 3-step. I mean, I'm 40 with arthritis in my ankles. I could get through a 3-step drop in 2 seconds.
The idea is to get the ball out quicker from a theory, and that makes sense, yes. But he can do that from all kinds of drops, from the shotgun, from all these different things. I don't think the drop necessarily is the problem or the key to that. That's just going to be Herbert getting the ball out, know where his check down is, which he's so good at. I'm not worried about Herbert having issues getting the ball out. I'm not at all. I think he's going to be fine.
This is something to me that's becoming interesting too, because I keep hearing him say like, oh, Spiller needs to contribute on special teams. But I think if you drafted a running back in the 4th round, which essentially was our 3rd round pick, let's just say that, because we traded the 2nd for Mac. So he's like a 3rd round-ish running back that we got, and he was projected to go higher than that. Maybe we don't need him to contribute on special teams. Maybe that's why Josh Kelly is out there. And the idea of having Sony Michel is more like towards the end of the season, is more trusted for playoff moments or something like that. This idea that Spiller needs to contribute on special teams to have a spot on the roster. No. We need to figure out how the running game's going. And maybe the guy who's 6'2" and did a little dominating in the SEC, we need to see what he adds to the running game with 5 to 6 carries in a game, especially while the quarterback is getting back from a rib injury.
Yeah, because Sony Michel's not necessarily crushing it this far.
No, he's not. And my thing is if Kelly's going to be on the roster, Kelly's actually looked pretty good. Like, he's getting
the ball in those yards
to carry. And
yeah, he's running hard, at least, the very minimum. Yeah, that's the thing. And I think that it really is the special teams. That's really what's holding Isaiah Spiller back.
But my thing is, you drafted him as in the 4th round. It wasn't like he made the team as a walk-on. You drafted him to carry the football. You didn't draft him for his special teams prowess. And if the offense is going to average 2.5 yards a carry, then why not put the guy in that you drafted to carry the football? Like, that's what I'm saying. We're not looking for special teams help. We're looking to run the ball effectively.
Yeah, why don't you just throw one of the backup receivers or backup DBs or backup anyone that can make a tackle on special teams?
To bring in the linebacker they brought, the edge rusher from Pittsburgh. Put him on the roster and let him play special teams.
Fear, you basically know our show at this point, huh? Bold predictions, throw them in the chat, y'all. Stat line prediction, just something that you guys think is going to happen in this game. Tony, I'm going to go with J.C. Jackson gets his first career interception as a Charger in this game. That's my bold prediction. I won't say it's a pick 6. I'll stay calm with my bold prediction this week, but I'm asking for a pick 6. First pick for J.C. Jackson of his Chargers career in this game where he's not, running for the first time and pregame warmups.
That was actually going to be my
We still the same one.
was going to go with JC. I'll pivot. We shall move to the offensive side of the football, and I'll go with a bold prediction to Gerald Everett in a bounce back situation here, and maybe just the tight end group in general, right? And I'm going to include Horvath in that, but I think we're going to get multiple touchdowns and a big receiving performance from the tight end group as a collective. I'll put them at 120 yards, 2 touchdowns from the tight end group on this particular Sunday.
I like it. We're on both sides of the ball. Did you see there was a punt return? It might have been when the game was kind of already out of reach, where Carter was like in space, and I was like, "Oh, here it is! Here it is! Go, Carter, go!" But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's easy. Joker saying bold prediction: Matt gets 5 sacks and Derwin gets 2 picks. If Matt gets 5 sacks, you can already crown him Defensive Player of the Year. That'll put him on 9 in Game 4. And they gave Mac a half sack somewhere in that Jaguars game. I don't know where it was, when it was.
Appreciate you stopping by, DZ. I think he's probably already checked out by the time I read that. Yeah, I love that bold prediction. I would love to see 5 sacks in this game, and I think it's doable. I think it's doable to get some pressure, even with some double teams in this game. The more I look at it, I'm just like, the mismatches are everywhere in this game, and the fact of what you're coming off of and what you could be facing 1 and 3. I think the focus should be at an all-time high. This isn't like when they played the Texans last year. People keep going, like reaching out to me and going, "Oh, are you worried? You know, your boys got handled by them." But last year was different. There was injuries. There was COVID. There was a lot of stuff going on when that happened. Yes, there's injuries in this game, but still I think that the talent level there's such a discrepancy between these two teams. The Texans are building somewhere, and the Chargers are ready right now. This has to be the moment where it's just squashed. And it's like, oh, you thought it was that? No. It's a double-digit victory today.
31-17 Chargers?
That's close to what my prediction is about to be.
Let's do it. 31-17 is what I'm going with, Tony.
31-17. My prediction for this is 29-16 in this game. I'm going with weird numbers. But I just think that there is a real opportunity for just dominance, right? Even if it is like a bit of a slow start or whatever, like just having a chance to dominate and get some players out at the end of the game.
Bold prediction that Sawyer's going to shut them down. No sacks allowed. 2 pressure. Like giving him room.
I like that bold prediction. It's, again, I'm not even sure who their other edge rusher is, but I know that they brought in Jerry Hughes, and he is a quality veteran.
31-14, 27-13. Yeah, y'all are thinking similarly to us. It's all you guys that are bringing up oh my gosh. It's all the guys that are bringing up last year's Texans game. Go watch the damn game. It's like my buddies this week. Like, oh man, did Khalil Mack play this week? Did the Chargers defense even show up this week? And then I was like, did you watch the game? Did you not see them start 3 possessions deep inside their own territory? It's like, go look at the yardage. You'll see that the yardage is not crazy because of all the times they had to start there. And they played good in the game. But anyways, go watch that Texans game before you want to talk shit about that Texans game and come back and tell me that Davis Mills and Nico Collins didn't have the games of their life that game. Like the games of those 2 guys' lives, they were cooking on us. I've never seen them play like that since that game.
No, they haven't.
I didn't believe in them after that game. Like I spent like a month being like, these guys actually might be good.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Nico Collins supporter. He's a Michigan guy. Like I like Nico Collins. I want him not to do well this weekend, but I like Nico. I drafted him a couple fantasy leagues. Carlos, I need you to do this at home with me. Let's start the chants. Tillery. There it is. All weekend long.
show right there. We'll
I
catch
want-
you guys next week.
I
As
want direct
victorious.
messages from all of you when Tillery has 2 sacks this Sunday.
Yeah, victorious. We'll be celebrating next week. Hopefully, we'll see you guys here at the same spot at the same time on the same night. Tony, any closing remarks?
No, everybody in the chat, you guys are the best. I really appreciate hanging out with you every Friday.
Bolts up, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, be sure to like the video on your way out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, notifications on. If you know any other Chargers fans, share the channel out. We're slowly growing. We're slowly getting there. Maybe we'll get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season, Tony. Maybe we'll get there. But we'll see you guys next week. Friday night, 5 p.m. Bolts up. 2-2. Here we go.